interested in. However, that's not the topic of today. How to configure my project and my database to have an easy project follow-up, well, that is not the topic either. Can we not rather focus on the expected outcomes, basically how to have an easier project follow-up? How is my project going? Am I in my budget? Are we progressing as expected? Based on those two elements that we will not cover today, so the project management itself and the project configuration, Odoo project updates can help you follow up on your project. Hello everyone, my name is Hadrian with an H, which is very important, and today we're going to have a look at how to follow up on your project with project updates. Basically, I'm going to try to help you have a simpler way to follow up on your project. But before diving into it, let's have a look at what we're talking about. For those who know it, the project updates view is a feature that we have in the project app, and it's been improved this year. We have a few, it's more exhaustive, and we also have some few new features that I will cover today. What you have to remember about it is that the project update will provide you with an exhaustive project overview with up-to-date data that will provide you with a simple way to analyze your project. Personally, when I want to have a look at my project overview, I want and I expect the following things. I want to have a quick access to the data. I want to be also able to easily dive in when needed. I want easy KPIs that are, on the one hand, easily understandable, so I can explain them to anyone, but also, and that actually that's the case, I want to be able to explain them. For example, if my manager comes in my project without any context, I want him to be able to understand where it stands, or at least have an idea. And that's the most important part of it. Eventually, I want it to be visual. I want to have some visual support. Whenever something is going wrong, I want to be able to spot it directly. That's what the right side that you can see on the screen here of the project updates will provide you with. On the other hand, I want to be able to use that data to make decisions. I want to be able to assess my project health and then have a history of it. So whenever I want to go back in my project, I can know why I did make some decisions and how I made them. But enough talking of what it is, and let's go into a real use case. In this presentation, I will take the place of a freshly new hired project manager in an office interior design company, so Elevate Workspace Design SA, which basically makes the design and installation of open spaces for other companies. And the previous project manager has resigned, and unfortunately for me, we haven't had the chance to meet. I then have two projects as handovers from him, and my manager asked me to assess those projects in terms of status and project's health. So let's go for the demo. This is my first day, and I'm arriving in my database, the database of my new company. I will directly jump into my project app, in which I see that I have a filter and I have two projects already. What did I say? I want it to be visual, and I already have some visual elements in here. The first one is those orange bullets, both stating that both my projects are at risk, which is not very good for now. I also have some other information, the customer EKGMP consulting, the deadline, the first one is for the end of this year, then the remaining hours. I also have, this is a visual element that we have the budget on my project is overspent, all right? And all those elements, I can already have an idea my project is not going very well. But let's dive into it. From those three dots, I have a first access to the project updates, but I'm not gonna go there straight away. I'm first gonna have a look at my settings. In the settings, I see some configurations here that I will not cover. I just have a look at those settings in here because I'm interested in knowing, like, is it billable? Do we bill our time and material to the customer, which is the case in this project, so I wanted to know that. I also noticed that I have a note here from my manager that I will read. So hello and welcome. This is your first assigned project. I reviewed the budget with your predecessor, so the previous project manager that left, but I haven't had the time to do more. Can you already assess the project in terms of schedule? I guess I can do that. And also he mentions that someone managed the project in the meantime. So if I have any question after my review, I can ask Anne those questions. So let's go. I know I have my first task, and I can jump directly from my project settings. I have a smart button on the top, and I can access directly my project update. In this page, as explained earlier, on the right side, I have all the up-to-date data that will gather every single invoice, vendor bill, or whatever timesheet I have in my project, and which will always be up to date as long as people do fill in the timesheet, for example. On the left side, I have some logs here, so some project updates actually with all the information, and we can see already that we have one of our new features, which is some progress rates in terms of tasks here. All right, so I have 11 tasks out of 28 that are done in terms of hours, so 210 hours. And then I have also the progress rate here with all my project updates. Let's start. I have a project update to do. That's my job today, so I'm going to make my first review for this project, all right? And I remember my manager told me that we had some documentation regarding project follow-up because I have no idea how to do it in this company. So I will use this button, which is a link to the knowledge application. And for those who know it, you can do a lot more with that app. And I have here a note, project management follow-up rules. That will be helpful, and I will follow it. So the first rule is that I have to log a project update every month, all right? Also, another one for any important decision, and I have a structure here to follow in order to make my project update. So I will just copy it and go back into my review, all right? Now that I have it, I can paste it. The scope I don't have to review, it's been done already, my manager told me, and also the cost and budget analysis, I don't have to do it either. So that's nice, I only have the schedule to review. First thing first, if you scroll down in that page, you will see that you have some information. It's basically a print of the information you have on the right side of the screen, so the up-to-date data, because I want to keep track of what was the state of my project at that time. Up here, I will now assess two things, the deadlines and the progress. It's going to be quite easy for me. I will go back at my project update and go all the way down. Here, at the bottom, I see that I have some red lines. These are milestones of my project, and I see that I'm late. The oldest one was due to end of September, so it's almost 6 weeks too late. But before rushing to conclusion, I will have also a look at my tasks. So when I jump into here, I see also a lot of red, but I see that most of my tasks from my third milestone, which is the oldest one, we can see here it's the third milestone. We can also group by or filter. I'm not going to do it right now, is almost done. It's under customer validation. I just have one task that is blocked. Eventually, I also see that the fourth milestone is almost over as well. It's under internal validation, just waiting to go to customer validation. So from here, I will go back and write it down. This is my feedback, first day, all right? I will say that I have between 4 and 6 weeks of delay, all right? I don't know why yet, and now that I have that information, I will also have a look at my progress. How can I assess my progress? There are different ways. In this case, I will do what I think is interesting, is have a look at how much time have we consumed in how long. This project started end of June, so in 4 full months, we actually did almost half of the project. So based on the fact that we only have 1.5 months, it's going to be a bit short. So I'm also stating here, very easy, 4 months to do 40% of the project. We might have had either a resource problem, we might have been delayed by the customer. Whatever the reason, I know that there has been a problem, and I need to discuss that with Anne, so the architect. So I need to discuss on the delay and resource problem eventually. But I also want to make proposals already. From this point of view, I know two things. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be able to meet my deadlines. So option one would be discuss with my customer on deadlines. And the second one will be basically to maybe involve more resources to meet and be ready for that deadline. Resource to be increased. In this case, it was pretty easy. I actually don't need to go further into detail. I don't need to look at the task or previous logs. I know that from now on, I have two options, and I need to find what's the best. The rest, I'm going to discuss with my team. In terms of progress, I will just use the new feature that Odoo provides me today, which is the progression in terms of tasks and of time, and I will go just in between because I have no more knowledge about this project. So I will set this as 45%. However, still, because we are very late, I will set the status as off track. So now that this one is done, it was pretty easy. I haven't had to even jump into the details. I will go and have a look to my second project. My second project looks a bit worse in terms of budget because we don't have any remaining hours. I can see it from the Kanban view, but my milestones are way further than the first project. So let's have a look at the settings again. Here I can see that in my settings, it's also some time and material, so maybe that will be interesting in this case. And I have another message from my manager, so welcome message, welcome again. This is your second project. We expect no more tasks or issues, so this is really the end, apparently. We just have 30 hours of estimation to finish the project. So I assume that after working 30 hours with the team on it, we will be done with this project. My manager tells me that he hadn't had the time to review the scope and budget and asks me to have a look, so I'm not going to have to review the schedule for this one, but scope and budget I will. Also, he mentions that they didn't create a sale order line of 50 hours of a partner service yet. I haven't heard of partner service, so we will have a look at it. Uh, can I do it? Yes, obviously I will. So let's go back maybe at our knowledge note, all right? Because we don't know about this partner thing. In this case, I will have to review the budget. So I see that I have some rules in this company stating that above 30% of margin, it's a good project. Between 10 and 30, it's an average project. Below 10% of margin, it's really bad. And then I have a part here about my partner follow-up. It says that as we don't have many designers in the company, we often need to ask help from our main partner, Deco Addict. And then to maintain profitability high enough, we need to ensure that we do not subcontract too much and not an amount higher than 10% of the global service revenue. So we want to limit the interventions of our partners because we want to keep control and have a higher profit. We do follow this using the budgets, and whenever we have an invoice from the partner, we should create the sale order item to invoice it back to our customer. So, all right, it seems clear now. Let's jump into the status, so the project overview of this project. In this case, I see I have only 2 project updates, previous ones, and I will make a short stop here on the right side. What I haven't explained yet is on the right side, I have several parts. So I have like a set of smart buttons here that will lead me to the task of my project. You have seen it already, to the timesheets I have. Extra time, it's also the timesheets. Then the sale order items, invoices, and so on. So we have a lot of things here. Then we have a sale part. So everything that has been sold, I can access here. And anytime I have a blue line, it means that I can deep dive in it to have more information. In this case, it's the time that I have delivered. Every single sale order item that is linked to my project will end up here, whatever the sale order it comes from. Below this part, I have my profitability analysis, which is composed with obviously a revenue part and a cost part. Then it's split in terms of the type of revenues, and the types of costs. Again, blue line means that you can dive in. In this case, I see a very, very bad margin here. So the expected margin is based on what I have delivered. I am at minus 15% of margin. That is pretty bad, but I also know from my manager that I will still need to invoice some hours. So in order to notice this, I will have a look either here at my purchase orders. I see that I have 2 lines, one of 30 hours that has been maybe billed, and then 50 hours, I assume this is the one that is missing. To make sure of that, so I have those 2 lines from my partner, I will go in my sale order items, and I see that I actually have only 1 line of 30 hours that was invoiced to my customer. So what I will do, and that's another new feature now in Odoo 17, is that I can directly jump into my sale order items from my project update, and I can create my line on the spot. So the product will be here, the partner services, the quantity will be 50 hours, and we also delivered 50 hours already. And now I do have a proper overview. I have this new element that is to invoice. I'm not going to invoice anything because it's not my job, but I have this new line that appeared, and now my margin is better. It actually went just above my bottom ratio of 10%, so I'm quite happy with that. Okay, now that I have done this, let's go and jump into my first review again regarding this project. Another time I will use this structure that I'm asked to fill in, but I'm not going to fill the schedule part because I don't have to do it. My manager did it before. For the scope, we have several ways to do it. I assume in this company I will I will do what I think is interesting. So when I have a look at the history here, I see that with the new feature, I can see the progression in terms of hours allocated to the project. We went from 150, then 180, now we are at 220, which means that we had an increase of at least 50% for, compared to the initial budget. So now that I can see that, I would say 70 additional hours. So it's 50% of increase, which is quite a lot. So no, really, I don't have any corrective action here, but did we miss something? Should we review that for the coming project? That's something I want to discuss. What's the reason of having an increase in the project time? Now I'm going to have to jump into my cost and budget analysis. So in terms of budget analysis, the first part is my budget consumption for the partner services. I know I don't want to have it higher than 10%. However, here, what I have seen is that my budgetary position in my budget, I had a forecasted cost of $1,600, and I'm having 9,600, which is way higher. So I can track this particular cost and revenue when I will have invoiced them to notice that I'm way over budget in this case. If you want to compare it with other elements in terms of cost, I'm at 9,000 among the 21,000, which is way too much. So I'm going to write it down. In this case, I'm almost at 40% of my cost that are from the partner. In this case, it's really bad. Again, I have two other elements to review before giving my final review at the non-billable proportion. Non-billable, I have several ways to do it, but the easiest is here. Any timesheet that is non-billable means it doesn't have a sale order and will not be reinvoiced to my customer. In this case, I see that I have 10,000 11 to be to be precise, of timesheets that have as cost, but half of them are non-billable. It's quite a lot. And then by clicking here, I see that I have 103 hours. Another way to do it would be directly from my timesheet button and group by sale order item. I will have the same information, 103 hours of non-billable time. So pretty quick, pretty easy. I also can note this, and I have almost 50% again of the service, 103 hours, which is non-billable. The extra time, I have seen it already. It's plus 2 hours, so we're almost at the end, but we have some extra time. It's super easy to notice it right now. So I will just write it down. We have 2 hours, pretty quick, pretty easy. And then now I'm going to make my global feedback. In my global feedback, I have two things. We are at 222 hours. We have 30 hours to finish this. So my global feedback is that we're going to end up at 252, which is an increase of, let's say, 15% of my budget, which according to me is okay, but I don't know what is the acceptance level of my customer or my company. The margin level, we have seen it, it's 16%, so it's quite okay. Eventually, I would say that it's not risky because we are at the end of the project, but it would have been handled better. For the next part, I will wait to have my meeting with my manager to have more information based on that. So here in a few minutes, based on the information I had left from my predecessor, from the previous project manager, I could assess those project health quite easily. The last thing I didn't do is to assess the progress, and in this case, I would say that we are at 80% of the project based on the elements I have, which is the budget, the task progression, but also the time left that we have. So what's just happened here? Basically, what I have shown today and in this presentation is that project updates may be easy. It might be harder in real life, but it may be easy depending on two elements: your project management, that I haven't covered really today, and the configurations that are well. If both are okay, the project updates and the project follow-up will be way easier. If there is one thing that I want you all to remember today, is that what I did was from only one single place, one single view, one single feature, which is the Odoo project update. Thank you for your attention.
All right, thank you for the talk. I have some question here. So, is there any possibility to track cost based on the categories?
I mean, I guess it's product categories. If that's the case, yes, but then you would have to use the budgets. You could create budgetary positions, link them to specific accounts, and then you would be able to track the cost based on product categories. If not, we already have a split based on the product type. It's not exactly the product type because even services are split in several types of cost or revenue, but it's possible, yeah.
Okay, great. Can you have one planning calendar for different projects? So, meaning you can plan different tasks from different projects in one calendar.
I mean, this wasn't the scope today. I would have to test. I think we don't do it except maybe the Gantt chart, but we should maybe discuss this in the service booth.
Okay. Can the update template be customized or modified?
The update template, no, it's coded this way, so that's why it can be very helpful to use the Knowledge app, which is very accessible right away. And using that, you can just copy paste any template you want, so it's very easy and quick.
All right. What do I have it more? Wait, because people are typing. Um, yeah, I'm just waiting for people to, because otherwise.
No worries.
Okay, well, I think that's it for today. Thank you.
Thanks.